Let's build the task dialog that uses command buttons and also an icon. And in addition to not paying attention to the return result of the execute method, this time we will have a look what the dialog returns for all values that we specify. Again, we start with an empty form and drop a task dialog on the form, advanced task dialog. And by the way, some of the function, what I forgot mentioning so far, you can click preview and here is your dialog at design time. So you not only see the result during runtime, you can also do it during design time. So we don't even need to build the button and the code at runtime in order to check what our dialog is going to look like. So again, I'm going to name this task dialog. And you should be able to pick the correct properties by now. So the instruction is, do you want to see a new dialog? And the content is simply this is the content. And the icon is not TI blank. The icon is TI warning. And if we preview this, we already pretty much have what we're looking for except the title and the command button. So the title is an easy fix. Task dialog with command buttons. That's easy. And how do we specify the command buttons? Well, first of all, command buttons are custom buttons. So that's the first thing you need to know. So because it's not one of these, okay, yes, no, cancel, retry, or close, you have to specify custom buttons. And this is nothing but a T-string list in which every item represents one button. The first one was exit application without saving. And the other one is exit application with saving. Okay, this is actually a pretty standard dialog that you might have seen if you use Excel or Word. Okay, this is it. So right now our dialog looks like this. So you see even this would be preferred to some old message dialog. You know, this is already pretty modern, but we want to use command buttons. And TMS makes this really easy. It's just one option you need to fix. You click on options, and then there is the do command links to true. And if we preview this, you see we have exactly the desired outcome. And if you think like, why do your slides look different? My slides have been taken in the Vista world with a different styling. Now Windows 10 looks a little bit different. So the green arrows that we had in Vista look like this now. So what this means for you is your dialog will always stay up to date. So if Microsoft changed the design and layout of everything in a couple of months, your dialogs will be up to date because your dialogs will use what is included in Windows. This is not something that is drawn so it looks like what is included in Windows. This is actually something that is based on the Windows API, and the right Windows API calls are being made. However, if you do not like these icons, you can also say do command links no icon. And there you go, you have everything without any icons on there. Okay, this dialog is really pretty flexible. I do owe you how to have a look at the return value, and this is pretty interesting because we're not using one of the standard values, we're just using our own command values. So also one of the questions that I got is what happens if we specify OK cancel as well and then have a look at the dialog? Well, you see you get these two and you get the standard buttons. If this makes sense or not, I'll leave that to you. It might be that these two options are more specific than any of these two, or this could basically be cancel. See, this is a dialog that makes sense again. You can either pick those two or you can cancel, right? So let's keep it at this. And how do you make the right decision in your code to evaluate the result? Well, let's use source code and implement the button. So this time we need a return value, right? So return is an integer. We remember that the execute method returns an integer. And return equals task dialog dot execute. And now you need a couple of constants. And there is no other way but to learn them, because if our return is not, and again, my cheat sheet might help you here, because that has all the constants on it. And you see the constant right here, system UI types ID cancel. So if L return is not system.UI types ID cancel, then begin. Well, let's see. Yep, we do not have system UI types included so far, so it uses system.UI types. You might think, right? That works. And only if not cancel is clicked, then please give me the return value that has been entered. I'm going to use a simple show message, and int to string of our return. Okay, let's run this. Cancel, nothing happened, we canceled. Exit application without saving, 100. And exit application with saving, 101. So the first button is 100 and the second button is 101. For a practical use case, you would have to store those two constants, 100 and 101, and assign proper names to it, but this is all it would take. So if you were to say if our return equals 100 or you constant, then begin show message saving. And if our return equals 101, then begin show message saving. So this is how easy it is to use the task dialog with alternatives and the cancel button and whatever you desire. And to make this even more ridiculous, you simply add an ADV in front of the show message, and guess what? Your show messages also use the new units that are provided as part of Windows 10.